So first and foremost, I want to mention to you that I'm a husband and a father, and I think that's the most important to me. I have an amazingly beautiful wife. She's gorgeous. She's an amazing mother. She's the rock that that we all kind of cling to at the house, and she's the one that keeps us all together. I can't say much for her eyesight or her taste in men, but I think I'll be I'll be okay with that so far. We also have 5 beautiful children. We have Chelsea, Dylan, Ethan, and then I have 2 little twins, boy, girl, Audrey, and Tyler. So we got a house full of love, a house full of toys, and a house full of noise. So if you ever come over, I'm not going to apologize for the way it looks like. You're already warned now. So currently right now, just a little bit about me, what I do. I'm a registered representative with a financial practice in Austin. I broker through New York life. I spend most of my days traveling around the Central Texas area, all the way from Waco, all the way down to San Antonio, and then equal distance east and west. I'm helping families prepare and make sure that they're taking care of their financial goals and trying to help them get there. I do work with long-term care, life insurance, investments, annuities, all sorts of things. So that's kind of what I do during my day job. Previously, I spent about 15 years as a high school football coach, track coach, and a teacher. And that's where I spent most of my career, and I think that's kind of what has kind of formed me into who I am today. So I spent years of working with the community as a coach, having community events, working with kids, working with parents, getting screamed at by thousands of people in the stands who all were smarter than me, and having to deal with that every Friday night. But I also helped build leaders, build people up, bring people together, sit down with parents who didn't agree with me, but we found a common ground because the most important thing was not my point of view or theirs, but the child. And I feel the same way about the city. And so that's where I am. At age 24, I was given a head coaching job, and I had to manage 5 different people, and half of them had more experience than I had years on this earth. So I learned from an early age of how to work along with people, how to share my vision and goal, and how to be very firm with what I believed in, but also understand that I didn't know it all. So that's kind of where I came from. I also taught government and economics for most of my career, and I have a love for government. I have a love for economics. I taught kids about the importance of government, about how it's important to be civically involved. Y'all have seen how our voter turnout has been, right? And that's because a lot of times people just aren't reached. So that was my job for years of helping that. I have a unique perspective of working in both the public and private sector, and I want to share that with you. So for years I worked for the public sector, now I'm working for the private sector. As I grew up, I had that same thing in my household. You see, my mom was a teacher. For 37 years she taught kindergarten for 37 years. She taught generations of kids, okay? We're talking kids plus their parents and then their grandparents even. She taught. My father was an independent oil and gas operator, so he worked for himself. So I grew up in the thing knowing that my mother works for the government works against my father. So we had to kind of balance that out and understand the role of government and how it is important to help each other, even if you're not getting paid a lot, which teachers don't. But then also how regulations and people who are in office who don't know what they're doing can really negatively impact businesses, business owners, and people trying to make a living. So I had to grow up with that. I've been involved politically since the age of 2. My father ran for mayor. When I was a young man, I have a little picture. I'll try to dig that out someday of me stumping for him in the church. I was up at the pulpit, said, "Vote for my daddy." And he became the mayor of my hometown. And I remember the stories of him telling me, "Derek, do not run for city council." I used to get phone calls at 7 o'clock at night, people complaining about tree limbs in their yard from their neighbors, and they want to know what I'm going to do about it as a mayor. But in all honesty, he was very supportive of me doing this. I have a master's degree in political science. So I spent a lot of time around politics. As a matter of fact, I cut my teeth as a young man still in college of helping run a race for the Railroad Commission of Texas. As I said, my father's an oil and gas operator. I helped with the campaign. I've been on a gubernatorial campaign, and in 2008, I was the Williamson County proxy delegate for Dr. Ron Paul when he was running against John McCain for the primaries. I have a little bit of libertarian streak in me. Please don't hold that against me. So I helped out a lot with the campaigns, and I volunteered, and I did a lot of work to try to help people out. Now let me go a little bit into my stance, because I know that's kind of what y'all want to know about. Because I believe that place 6 is a very important place. Place 2, place 4, y'all already know a little bit about the voting records, right? You know who the person is. You know how they're voting. You know how they have voted. But place 6 is kind of an unknown. So in here, I think a lot of it is really important about who you can trust. Can you trust that person to make the right decision for the community? Or is this a person that's all about, here's my vision, I want to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this? Or are you working for a person that's going to say, hey, what do you want for your city? So my stance is a little bit different. I like to think about it kind of riding a bike. So my daughter's 7 years old, and I taught her how to ride a bike. Now, let me ask you this. For those, and of course, I know I'm not trying to ask you all this because I can't ask you questions. But whenever you have a young, inexperienced rider, and they're pulling off to the side and they can't control it, what do you think the first thing they're going to do as a reaction to get that away from that ditch? They're going to jerk the steering wheel to the other side, right? That's a lot about the inexperience. And I think that a lot of candidates these days, that's their knee-jerk reaction. Instead of going to the left, they're going to pull hard to the right. Instead of going to the right, they're going to pull hard to the left. But experienced leaders know that sometimes the answer is found right there in the middle. And people that can control that and keep it in the road and keep it between the lines, these are the people that are the smart, rational, level-headed candidates and politicians that we need. We don't need knee-jerk reactions. I feel like my opponents, and I'm not going to speak negatively about them, but I feel like some of my opponents may want to go hard to the left. Maybe regulation, maybe ordinances, maybe new things, maybe the high-density housing, maybe kind of restrict. Then on the other side, I have an opponent that may want to go the opposite way. Maybe open it up, bring everything in, pedal to the metal, full development. I think there's a middle way. I think we can have something in the middle. You see, if y'all were at the city council meeting last night, and the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that, one of the things that you keep hearing from the citizens is this: we want economic development, we just don't want it right in our backyard. We have a beautiful park. So I was out here, I spent a little bit of time out here, kind of looking out here. Isn't this beautiful? Do you want to see this completely paved? Do you want to see this with chain restaurants, chain stores, everything over there? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that we want to see the Leander, the one that we have come to know and love, which is a growing city, but a town at heart. And can we bring in that economic development, but still respect homeowners? Can we make sure that we're protecting property values, not making them skyrocket and put all the burden on them, but also not devalue them by putting a chain restaurant or a gas station right up in your backyard? Can we do that? I believe that we can. So one of the things that I want to talk about a little bit is some of the questions that we have here. And I know I'm sorry that I spent most of the time kind of introducing myself, but I feel like it's very important for you to know who the person is that you'll be voting for. I want you to understand a little bit about me. So I'm going to run through these questions very quickly, please forgive me for my brevity, but I want to just kind of touch on each one of them. The first question we talk about a little bit is about Cap Metro. Cap Metro is not a bad idea. I like Cap Metro. I think eventually it's going to pay off for us. The problem is that one penny that we're giving away that we could be investing in our development. You see Cedar Park, for example, they take that penny and they invest it into their advisory boards, and they get millions of dollars that they can use to make sure that they're bringing in the businesses and they're bringing in the economic development. We don't have that. Now, anybody that says that we're going to sit up there to Cap Metro and say, hey, listen, we ain't paying you anything. Okay, listen, Cap Metro is not just a small little organization. They're not going to be up for that. But I do think we can take Cap Metro to the kind of negotiation table and say, listen, let's work out something. Maybe we go half a cent. Or maybe give us 5 years deferred, because when we develop up here north, it's going to behoove both of us. We're going to benefit mutually from this. Give us some time to get our development up. When ACC comes online, when the development starts coming online, that's going to help us. That's my position at Cap Metro. I'm not negative about it, but I think that we can do some things here to improve it. Address economic development. The biggest thing is I know that maybe my opponents are about, hey, retail, restaurants. Well, that's not that easy. If you're a restaurant owner, we don't pick you and say, hey, come on in here. We're going to have a Chili's here. We're going to have a Marshall's here. We're going to have an old. That's not how it works. People need to invest in us. So how are they going to do that? If we invest in ourselves first, if we make sure that the infrastructure is correct, if we meet with business owners that are already here and say, what are the restrictions that you have? What are some of the problems that you are seeing? How can we make this a more open community? Instead of just pedal to the metal and just say, hey, listen, let's just pave it all, right? Turn it into a Joni Mitchell song where we have to pay $1.50 to go see the trees. We're not going to do that, right? What is your position on new urbanism? I don't like it. Next question. Effectiveness of new urbanism, same thing. Maybe the big cities, maybe some of those cities it works really well for, maybe not here. This is a rural city, and I think that we should keep it that way. Why is Leander growing in population faster than its sales generators? Because that's how cities work. Population always grows first, The tax generation comes after. I do think that there's been some mistakes that we've made in the past that we need to fix, change some codes, change some regulations, be a little bit more inviting. Why do we not have any incentive money? Okay, incentive money, and I want to kind of touch on this real briefly because incentive is very important. So people say, well, why don't we pay money to get these businesses in here? I'm not 100% for that. Like I said, I'm a libertarian. I got a libertarian streak in me. I don't feel that the government should be picking winners and losers. I think if a business wants to be here, then they need to invest. Can we work out things with them? Yes, we can, but giving them money. So imagine if you're a business owner. I don't know if any of you in here are business owners, and I'm not going to ask. But some of you in here may be business owners. How would you feel if you learned that the city was now giving $50,000 to somebody who's going to open up the exact same store that you have, but you had to do it all on your own? How do you think the businesses that have been here that are already successful, how are they going to feel when the city council gives another opponent $50,000, $100,000, and gives them tax breaks? I don't know if you'd feel good about that. How would you propose to generate this incentive money? Small business incubators. Let's do it privately. Let's have private firms and groups raise this money. Let's allow them to do it, okay? But let's not take taxpayers' money to go and pick winners and losers. The water cost issue, I think the water thing is really good. I think that, yes, we have paid a little bit more money. I think it's been a little bit high. It's been expensive, obviously. But the thing that we have is water. And water, if you don't know, is about as valuable as oil right now. And if we're not careful with it and we're not smart with it now for the future, and we're talking 15, 20 years down the line, we could lose it. I have heard some suggestions of maybe letting some cities, local cities, maybe buy some of that water from us to maybe alleviate some of that. But I would never enter into a contract where they are guaranteed a certain amount of water and then in the future that we may end up having to buy it from other people or having to raise our rates. I would never get into that. Destination Leander, I think, is very important that we revisit that. I would say the first thing we do is reconvene a commission to go over all of this and see where have we come from 2010, 2015 to now 2018 and then 2025. Where have we come from and where are we going to go? I think that's the first thing we do. We sit down. Lack of transparency in permitting procedures. One of the things, I sit down with business owners from Cedar Park and Leander, and one of the things they all tell me is the same. Permitting is so difficult. It takes way too long. And right now, one of the things we have in City Hall that's a problem is we don't have the size of a City Hall that matches our population. We do not have enough people to handle the development that's coming on. If we continue to think that we're a small town all over, then we're just going to falter. But we have to look at those places and see, why are we not getting those permits out in a timely fashion? Why are we not getting fire codes taken care of? Why are we not getting out there and getting these things taken care of quickly? We can contract some people in and we can get that done. And lastly, the design book. You know, I've spoken to the Home Builders Association, and I think that they're kind of one of those things. It's like, we'll work with it. But I'm not 100% on, you know, people say that this, we don't allow certain houses. I think we don't have to be as strict on that. And I did talk to a business owner the other day. She said that she bought a business. Everything was beautiful. Everything's great. The city said, you're going to have to rip up 18 trees. Are you kidding me? So these are some things that I think that we put into place years ago, and I think that they need to definitely be changed very quickly, and I would do that. Folks, overall, I just want to let you know this. Like I said, I'm running because I love this city. That's it. I don't have any hidden agenda. I don't have any grand scheme. I don't have anything that's like I'm, you know, some part of the deep state or I'm part of some other state or whatever. I'm just from Leander. I'm a husband and a father. I'm a business owner. I love this city. I worked here in Leander ISD. I want to see this city grow, but I want to see it grow right. I don't want to see it grow out of control. And I definitely don't want to lose that value and that spirit and that brand that we have. And if you agree, I'd ask that you vote for me, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.